Okay, the deep state and what's coming up down the line on Flyover Country. I'm back with thoughts on Flyover Country. Hopefully, I can manage to get through this time without an interruption. I have had numerous interruptions the last couple of times I've sat down and tried to talk to you. So it's no longer breaking news, but this whole thing with Donald Trump right now, it kind of ties in with what's going on in the rest of the world. This is not just an American phenomenon that we're seeing right now with the whole nationalist uh, uh, conservative movement. This is a global thing, at least as far as industrialized nations are concerned. Uh, Came to my attention recently that Austria has joined the conservative nationalist movement, where the people have overthrown the socialist policies that seem to be prevailing in Berlin and Paris and Brussels. Uh, a number of countries within the EU are basically looking around and saying, you know what? We got rid of absolute monarchy years and years and years ago, where the certain elites got to make all the laws and we were just peons and had to follow everything. So in a lot of countries, they're saying, no, not going to happen. And Britain, they went into sort of a panic mode because, as you remember, the people voted and said, Brexit, we're done with the EU. We want to go back to just being UK. Okay, they did that. Uh, the prime minister that was there was against Brexit. So he stepped down. Theresa May took over, and she was supposed to be the pro Brexit uh, prime minister. She was not. She tried everything she possibly could to circumvent Brexit from really being able to be implemented. And finally, everybody got fed up with it and booted her out. Boris Johnson got in there and he started doing what needed to be done. Immediately, everybody in the higher up, the elitist, went completely ballistic on him. And now they're trying to get rid of him because he actually stepped up and said, okay, this is what the people voted for. This is what we're going to do. And he appalled uh, most of the ministers in parliament. Just, they were like aghast. Oh my gosh, he's actually trying to do it. What are we going to do? We got to get rid of him. Kind of like the same thing that's happening to Trump right now. Uh, and this is just, I mean, this is getting ridiculous. There's a lot of people that are just tired of it, but the Democrats have really put their foot in it this time. The whole Trump Russian scandal that died out because there was nothing to it. And so now they're trying to make something up about the Ukraine. Well, there are so many angles to attack this from, I don't know where to start hardly. Number one, you've got the Democrats trying to impeach a president for for breaking a law that our former vice president, Joe Biden, actually broke and bragged about it on video. I mean, there's a videotape out there of him bragging about the fact that, yeah, I threatened to withhold, American money if they didn't fire the prosecutor who was going after the company that Hunter worked for. But yet, Trump didn't do that. All Trump did was call up the Ukrainian president, congratulate him, and ask him to work together to eliminate the interference with our elections, Ukrainian interference with our elections. There was no quid pro quo. There was no money exchanging hands. There was none of that. And Trump once again released the entire transcript in what could only be considered the worst possible timing for the Democrats. I mean, they are in deep right now, really deep. They are in too far to back out. And a lot of the junior members of the House wouldn't let them back out even if they could. AOC is and company are absolutely committed to trying to impeach Donald Trump. And the fact that Pelosi finally caved on this, started this process, now she's stuck. She can't back away from it. She's going to have to ride this one out. And it's not going to end well. She's got to know it by now, too. Because there's nothing there. Once Trump released the transcripts, it was all done. There's nothing on the transcripts. There was nothing to blow the whistle on. And breaking news today was that the whistleblower was actually put up to blowing the whistle by the chair, Adam Schiff, blowing the whistle on something that didn't really exist. So now he's in it up to here. This can only end two ways. Number one, Pelosi and Schiff push this through the House, and they go through with the whole articles of impeachment thing. And it's a right down the partisan aisle vote, and it moves on to the Senate, where it's going to boomerang. That's not good for the Democrats. The other scenario is she puts it out on the floor for the House to vote on. And there are actually enough Democrats out there who are looking over their shoulders saying, you know what, if I vote for this, I can kiss my congressional seat goodbye, because there's no evidence to base it on. I think I'm just going to do the self-preservation mode and vote it down. Either way, Pelosi's toast. And some might ask, well, why can't she just back away from it? Because there's nothing there. It's a big nothing burger like Mueller's report. Well, she can't, because she's got the four horsewomen of the apocalypse on her heels. And if she tries to back away from this in any way, shape, or form, they're going to come completely unglued. So, and yeah, I don't know if those four women in their districts have enough of a following to even get reelected. I'm sure Pelosi could probably get reelected to the House. I seriously believe, however, this is the end of her term as Speaker of the House. I think she's going down on this one, and she's going down hard. They have propped themselves up on the point of a sword, and there's not much that can save them. I envision that they're going to try to come up with some kind of when the Senate bounces us all back in their laps, they're going to come up with some kind of, well, the Republicans all circled the wagons around Trump, and it's all a big, but the American people aren't going to buy it, because There's no evidence. The Republicans are going to sit there in the Senate and go, well, you got to show me the evidence. There's got to be something here. This is a big nothing. That's the boomerang effect that's going to land on them right at election time. They can only drag this out so far because people are tired of it already. They're tired of the bashing with no meat. There's nothing there. And while the leftists are desperately trying to, Schiff himself was making up stuff at press conferences, things that weren't even said, weren't on the transcript. There was nothing there. So if you've got, it's one of the things I've always said, if you have to lie to make your case, then your case wasn't worth making to begin with. You shouldn't have to lie to make your case. But yet, the Democrats and the pro-socialists don't see it that way. Karl Marx, in his works, pointed this out emphatically. He said, he wrote, the people, the proletariat, will never accept this policy, the socialism, based on its merits. It's never going to happen. If you sit there and tell the truth about how this is going to play out, people will not accept it. If you try to get this through democratically, people will not accept it. The only way you can make this work is to lie to the people themselves until you get it in place. And then you can use force to maintain the socialist regime until the people learn to accept it. He actually wrote that, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit because it's been a few years since I actually read the direct quote. So that's not a direct quote, but that's what he said in all essence. So lying comes kind of second nature to socialist progressives. Joseph Goebbels once said, the bigger the lie, the easier it is to sell. And nobody knew about lying better than Joseph Goebbels. So that is my thoughts from Flyover Country this week, or maybe last week. I am getting ready to do a special several part series on socialism. I've got scripts for that one. This is unscripted today. This is just shooting from the hip. I had stuff written out. I was working on it last week already. And every time I sat down to make the video, I got interrupted. So I just have to get these done when I can get them done. And hopefully next week I'll have another one done, and maybe by next week we'll be on the how socialism actually works, because I think you'll find it really interesting. Until then, if you like what you see, push the subscribe button, hit like, leave a comment or two. I'm always interested in hearing what you have to say out there in response. Till next time, this is John Robinson with Thoughts from Flyover Country.